I haven't uploaded in a while. I've had a lot going on. My clutch failed in the car. Took them a week to get it done. It's the first time the car has given me an issue in 4 years. But I got 150,000 miles out of that clutch. So I decided to put a few miles on the car. So I headed to the desert. And here I am. I'm headed back. I'm actually in Julian right now. Needed a break. It's been slow. I was riding around on my bicycle for that week. I didn't have a car. Of course, my sister bugs me. Where's your other car? You've got a few vehicles. Of course, I have to roll my eyes because she doesn't understand why I have them and where they are. Why I have them where they are. I have my little Samurai at the desert with the motorhome. No point in having those two vehicles in the city. So that's where they are. I have one other vehicle that's in shambles. Totally different story. Not worth talking about here. But anyway, that's my fleet, my 4 clunkers. But here we are. I'm in Julian. I don't know if you can hear the crickets, but they're really loud. I purposely left the windows open just to see if the video would pick it up. I've had to learn a lesson lately involving the car. It's amazing how your emotions can dictate what you remember. In the midst of hearing something, the detail can, I don't know if change is the right word. You can hear it differently based on what you want to hear. And I've had to learn that the hard way, because when you want to hear a number, that's the one you can hear. Selective hearing, I don't know if that's what I want to call it. But anyway, it's amazing how your memory can be clouded, just like judgment. And only after time has passed, maybe clarity ensues. I don't know why I misheard what I heard or how I came up with this false memory, but I did. I've had to think about it, and now I have a better understanding of how others can come off as delusional when they're not delusional. They can genuinely think they heard something. I mean, yeah, some people can be delusional, but it's quite possible to hear something, think you're correct, only days later, and then days after, realize you were wrong. So I've been pondering that. Things I think about when I'm out and about alone. The advantage of going out to the desert or the woods is you don't get the distraction or the high anxiety environments of the big city. wanted to get out of town so badly that I just grabbed a few things. And I forgot a few things because I didn't spend enough time planning for getting out of town. But I'm making the most of it. I also found out the guy I was allowing to keep his truck on my property in the desert realized he made a mistake, made a total mess on the property, and realized he made that mistake. Part of why I went back to the desert was to make sure it was cleared off. I don't want to get grief from neighbors, the city, or if I end up wanting to build on it, I need to be able to do that today. So I think he realizes he goofed. So he's actually tidied up that piece of dirt nicely. He still has his monstrosity of an RV on the property, which I'm fine with because that's all that's there. It itself is an ugly thing to see, but everything around it is clean. He's bothered to take rocks and pebbles and tidy them up, and I feel better now because what I didn't want is to have a boatload of garbage everywhere. And being 150 miles away, I can't monitor the property daily. I made a few loose friends, meaning I'm not totally close with them, just so I can text and say, hey, could you drive by and tell me what's going on? I've wanted to help my mom more than I can. There's a procedure that might get her walking. It's about 10 grand. A relatively small amount of money for the return on investment if it gets her walking. For those that have watched, you know that she had a stroke 4 years ago. Generally speaking, there is no cure for such an ailment, except there is a drug you can inject into, I guess, the spinal cord, and potentially, for the large majority of the people that go through the treatment, walk again. So I've been trying to decide where to take the GoFundMe that I want to make for her and post it so it doesn't just dissipate after sending it out a few places. I've been making conversation with people that I know personally and asking them if they have access to a social network that's beyond just the people they interact with. So when I make this attempt, I'm going to send it out to everyone I know personally and just ask them to send it to whomever. Whether they donate or not is one thing, but I need to get a big enough grouping so that this can work. The logistics are a pain in the butt. She can't fly. She's in too much pain. She can't sit on a seat for 5 hours at a time. I think the logistics are relatively straightforward. It takes 4 days to cross the country. This facility is in Florida. We're in Los Angeles. If I put her in a hotel room 4 nights out of the 4 nights that we drive, I get a car like a what's it called? A minivan. She can handle driving. She can drive or sit in a car for an hour or 2 or 3. We can stop, get her, as long as I get her in and out of the car a few times in that day, she'll be fine. I can help her on and off the toilet. Logistics, everything. Everyone's like, though, Chris, this is logistically a nightmare. Yeah, it's annoying. But I think we can do it. I seem to be more optimistic than anyone else in my social circle. But I think we could do it. 10 grand for the procedure, probably another couple grand for a car rental, Motel 6s 4 times, and meals. There's no recovery time. I'm going to post a link to the video that shows this potential cure. It was featured on a 60 Minutes episode some 10 years ago. I'm not qualified to talk about how it works, but if I post the link, put the links in the GoFundMe, people will actually see that there's some cred to the fix. So that's been on my mind also. I've been learning how to relax, get rid of some of my anxiety, not having or feeling like I'm under control because of all the family limitations there are. I've always had my health. I currently have my health, and it's frustrating. Been using the downtime to meditate. It was a slow month today. When I was without the car for a week, I took advantage of that time to actually ride the bicycle. I saw the positive in things. It was slow, so I didn't have to go to jobs that were many miles out. Every job that I did have while I was slow and I didn't have the car was within a few miles away. Well, closer than that. But despite the fact, I saw the positive, and I feel good to actually get on a bike and exercise hard. Now I'm going to head home. I have a job waiting for me at the office, or my closet. That pissed me off. I was going to do a job before I got out here, and I couldn't get Windows installed on a laptop. It pissed me off. Microsoft makes Windows fit on a 64 gig drive because my customer bought a $200 computer with a 64 gig SSD. The only way that works is when you take a snapshot image and just blast it onto the drive from the factory. You cannot do a traditional retail install from your memory stick. That pissed me off. This is like the second or third time I've had to deal with someone that spends $200 on a computer because they don't understand why that's such a bad idea. Then I open it up and find out that memory is actually soldered to the board. I was this close from having to hand over that computer to the customer, telling them, I can't get this thing working unless I upgrade the machine. And then just as I said that, I moved my thumb. There's an expandable slot. I can put an upgraded SSD. A cheaper SSD, not the fancy one that a regular computer uses. But at least I can upgrade it. I tried to order it this morning from Amazon, but it didn't show up until after I left for the desert. I wanted to get out to the desert sooner than later. I wasn't going to wait to do this job until afternoon and then not have my daylight out in the desert. So I'm hoping that drive will be waiting for me and I'll be able to knock that out. I had a very delicate lecture with the customer about why they should not spend less than $500 on a computer. People don't understand why you can't buy such a cheap computer. Now, what they did is locked up their computer. They created a PIN, forgot the PIN, and then I think the email they typed was incorrect. So the email they tied the PIN to is not a real Microsoft account, or it's not one they have access to because they mistyped the email. So they've got a ghost account. That's why I figured, well, we'll just reinstall Windows. And what happens? I kill my access. I have a brick until I get a new drive in that machine. So Microsoft has been making a lot of mistakes lately. They've even admitted making a lot of mistakes. Part of that is that they admit 30% of their content is actually created by AI. That pisses me off. Thankfully, people have made complaints, and hopefully they'll actually listen. Unfortunately, for there to be change, there needs to be enough of a consequence for a huge entity like Microsoft. So it might mean that a lot of market share goes to Linux. And now that Apple has a $600 laptop, we'll see what happens. That thing is going to change the market. People are going to buy that instead of a $500 computer. I tell all of my customers, if you spend $500 or $600, that will get you exactly what you need, at least anyway. Most of my customers only need the $500 computer, or $600. So now you have a boatload of people that have always eyed the Apple, but unwilling to spend $1,000, now have access or are willing to spend money on an Apple device for $600. Technically, most people are going to want the $600 or the $700 version because of the memory upgrade. 250 gigs is not enough for most. Most of us just have too much stuff. The operating system takes over 100 gigs. Just as bad as Windows. But if you get that $700 Apple, you have a competing device that can kick the snot out of Microsoft, because Microsoft insists on putting all their AI and all the crapware in these machines that Apple never has. So if Microsoft keeps making enough mistakes with their AI, they're going to lose a lot of market share. And then, of course, there are a few people they'll lose Linux to. I don't know what the percentages are for them to actually realize they need to backtrack and make computers easier to use. Not, well, let's just commandeer the system and try to cajole people into directions that we think they need to go. Too much automation is a bad thing in a computer. Anyway, it feels good to get on camera and not do it on a schedule. I've had the urge, and now here I am. It's a beautiful night. I was down in the desert. It was 110 degrees. Drive into the woods. It's amazing how fast the temperature can change. The desert, it's 110. You climb 4,000 feet up, and suddenly it's 40 degrees cooler. In a matter of 30 miles. Anyway, I thought I'd say hi. I plan on starting out strong this week. Got a working car, although I noticed my wheel's off a few degrees. I don't know if I need a wheel alignment. I checked my tires. They don't look like they're scuffing too badly, but we'll see. But I just got a new clutch, so I figured let's put some miles on the car. I gotta go check on my property. That's 2 projects taken care of. Not thrilled with spending $6 for a gallon of gas, since it's about $75 in gas round trip. Probably a little bit more than that. I'm thinking of the old numbers. Anyway, here we are. If I think of saying anything tomorrow, there's something I wanted to talk about and I've forgotten what it is. When I think about it, I'll note it, and I'll speak of it tomorrow. Speak of it yesterday. Yeah, that's it. Got a few ideas, and I need to talk them out. We'll see. Have a good night.